How you doing, everybody? Well, we're finally here, the last day of Wild Card Weekend, and it is time for the Philadelphia Eagles. Well, almost time. We still have a few hours left. It's currently uh, about quarter of one right now. The first um, Wild Card game on this Sunday is about to begin, about 15 minutes from now, where the Baltimore Ravens will be taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. Just wanted to give a few thoughts about the games yesterday and today. Um, and maybe make a few predictions. Hopefully, do better than I did yesterday because I did not have any of the picks right yesterday. But we'll get into that in a second. But first of all, you can tell I'm an Eagles fan, one of the biggest Eagles fans you'll ever meet. Uh, so obviously, I'm rooting for them today. Uh, and I'll talk about that game in a minute. But let's get to yesterday's games. First game that we saw yesterday was New Orleans Saints traveling to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Nobody that I know of was giving the Seahawks a chance to win this game at all. Um, I myself had the Saints picked to win at 35-14. I didn't think there was any way that the Saints could get beat. Um, but the Seahawks proved everybody wrong. They proved that they did deserve to be in the playoffs, and they're the ones that are going to be heading to the divisional round next week. So we will have a new Super Bowl champion this year. Still a big toss-up as to who that's going to be yet, but kudos to the Seahawks for getting it done yesterday. Good job. Uh, Second game we saw yesterday was picked to be a very close matchup. Peyton Manning and the Colts playing host to Mark Sanchez, Rex Ryan, and the New York Jets. I so much wanted to see the Colts stomp all over the Jets and shut Rex Ryan up. I think he runs his mouth way too much for a coach, and his team really didn't deserve to win that game yesterday. Mark Sanchez overthrowing everything. They went to the run game there in the second half to try and put some points on the board because obviously their pass game wasn't working. And Peyton Manning just couldn't. I mean, they drove him down the field there at the end, and Vinatieri, as usual, clutch as usual, puts the ball through the uprights to take the lead there with only 54 seconds, I think it was, to go. But you got to give Mark Sanchez credit. He completed some passes when he needed to, and they um, were able to get Nick Folk into position to uh, win the game. Now we have to listen to another week of Rex Ryan running his mouth, saying how they're better than the Patriots and how they're going to walk all over the Patriots. And so, although I hate the Patriots, and I think Tom Brady is one of the biggest sissies when it comes to quarterback, I'm not trying to take anything away from him. He's a good quarterback. He's very smart, and he's a good passer. But you put a little pressure on him, or you barely touch him, and he turns into the biggest sissy. Uh, but anyway, even though I hate the Patriots, I'm hoping they stomp all over the Jets next week. Uh, I don't think the Jets deserve to be anywhere near the Super Bowl, so go Patriots next week. Today, first game, Baltimore traveling to Kansas City. Now, before yesterday, I would have said Baltimore is going to stomp all over Kansas City, but after what Seattle did, I'm not picking anybody to stomp over anybody this year. Too many teams are too shaky, and the Ravens are no different. Have a good run game. Of course, they got Ray Lewis and Suggs there on defense. There are some nasty guys, and the defense is pretty tough. But uh, Matt Castle and Dwayne Bowe and some of those Chiefs that they got over there, uh, they might be the sleeper. Um, they might be the sleeper team this week. Obviously, Seattle uh, had a huge upset over New Orleans yesterday, but who knows? Kansas City might take it to Baltimore. I'm still picking Baltimore to win, but I wouldn't be surprised by anything now. And that leads us to the last game of Wild Card Weekend, which is the Eagles and the Packers. Rematch from Week 1. The first game of the year for these two teams will also be the last game of the year for one of these two teams. It will be a very interesting matchup. Everybody's making the story, Michael Vick versus the Green Bay Packer defense. But I think the story here is Andy Reid and the Philadelphia coaches. And the reason I say this is because if you look, since Andy Reid has taken over and the Eagles have seen success in postseason in the last, 8-10 years, anytime there's a huge game, a lot of pressure on, Andy collapses. He doesn't make good judgments. He uses timeouts sporadically. He doesn't have any clock management. And the coaching staff just doesn't. The thing that gets me about the Eagles coaching staff is all throughout the season they have the Eagles playing good football. They have them being fairly consistent. And they're able to get themselves into the playoffs. And then when they get to the playoffs, the coaches all of a sudden think that, oh, we're in the playoffs now, we have to do things a lot differently. And they change the way they do things. They don't play the same football they did to get them where they are. And that's what you need to do. You don't want to completely change your game plan. You want to go in with the same mentality. You have, especially with a young team like the Eagles have. You don't want to change mentality. You want them to feel the same things, the same emotions, to keep their head in the same place that you have all season long. And when the coaches change things up and try and do cutesy, fancy stuff, it just doesn't work. So to me, the story, like I said, is all going to be on how Andy Reid decides to coach this team. Let them play the smart Eagle football that has gotten them here, and they should be fine. If you try and get cute, change things up, do things that the other team isn't expecting, that's all well and good, except your team isn't used to doing it. So don't do that. Play smart Eagle football. Don't get all cocky. I think this should be a very good matchup. I think the Eagles should win this game. Not just because I'm an Eagles fan, but because I believe they do, right now, have the more explosive offense and the ability to win this game. Score-wise, I'd say it's going to be really close. 27-24 or something like that. But in the end, if Andy Reid and the coaches allow and coach the players to play the same way they've been playing all year, keep their heads about them, play smart football, they should win. But we'll see. Only one team gets to move on from here. If the Eagles win, they go to Chicago next week. If they lose, Seattle goes to Chicago, and Green Bay will go to Atlanta. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully the Eagles will be around next week, and we'll get to see them all the way into Dallas. I'm not going to say anything about that yet. I'm not going to get all jumpy like a lot of Philadelphia fans do. I'm one of the biggest Philadelphia fans you're going to see. I'm a very passionate Philadelphia fan. But the only way I differ from other Philadelphia fans is I'm not going to get cocky. I'm going to be realistic. And realistically, I think the Eagles have a very good shot at beating the Packers if they play smart football. If not, a couple years ago when they were in the NFC Championship game against the Cardinals, everybody was like, oh, they already beat the Cardinals big time on Thanksgiving. This is going to be another easy victory for the Eagles. And I made a video and I said, yeah, they should be able to beat them if they play with their heads, if they play smart football. And they didn't. They got in a big hole. They brought themselves back there in the end. But by then it was too late. The Cardinals were able to drive down and pick up the victory. You can't do that. You have to play the team. Play the team that you're scheduled to play against. Don't play previous games. Don't play records. Don't do any of that. You have to take the team that you're given. if you, like I said, if you play smart, the Eagles should be able to um, pick up the victory and move on to next week. So here's hoping that the Eagles will be around next week. Uh, if the Eagles win, I'll probably be on to do a review of the game and some predictions for next week. If they lose, it'll probably be a while before I do a video because I'll be in such a bad mood that I won't want to get on. So again, play smart, Eagles. Hope to see you next week.